Welcome back to Chat Like a Native, where we help you sound more and more like a native English speaker.
That's right.
And today, we're going to be diving deep into verbs.
Verbs, yes.
Those action words that can really make a difference in how natural your English sounds.
Absolutely.
So have you ever felt like your English sounds a little bit basic, even though you're using like all the correct words? This is the deep dive for you because we're going to be exploring how to really choose the right verbs.
Yeah, we often get stuck using the same verbs over and over again.
So,
like go, do, make.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But English has so many other options.
Oh, so many.
So many colorful, vibrant alternatives that can really help you paint a more vivid picture.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
Well, I think one of the best places to start is with synonyms.
Okay.
Synonyms are your superpower.
Ooh, I like that.
Instead of just saying go, why not try using travel or venture or proceed?
Right.
These all mean slightly different things.
They do.
And they add nuance to your expression.
Okay, so instead of saying I go to the store, I could say like I pop over to the store or I venture out to the store.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's like choosing the right outfit.
Ooh.
You want to choose the right verb for the occasion, the situation, the feeling.
I like that analogy a lot.
And choosing the right synonym can really elevate your language. You go from simple to sophisticated.
Okay.
For example, depart and leave.
Okay.
They both mean to go away.
Yeah.
But depart has a more formal tone.
So like the plane departs at 8 p.m.
Exactly.
versus I'm leaving for work now.
Right. And I'm sure you've used depart in casual conversation before.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it probably sounded a little strange.
A little bit, yeah.
So it's not just about finding synonyms, it's about understanding when to use them.
The nuances.
Yes, exactly.
I'm realizing now I've used a lot of like formal words in very informal situations.
And that happens.
Yeah.
It's all part of the learning process.
It is.
Then you have words like arrive and reach. Both mean to get to a destination.
Right.
But reach kind of implies more effort. Like we finally reached the summit after a challenging climb.
So there's like a sense of achievement.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
It's about choosing the right tool for the job.
Okay.
Each verb has its own unique function and impact.
This is really making me think about all the verbs I use.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, it's a little overwhelming to think about all these subtle differences.
Yeah, it can be a lot.
So is there like a framework or something we can use?
Sure. Let's call it the verb power up framework.
Ooh, I like that. Verb power up.
Yeah. So think about verbs in 3 dimensions.
Okay.
Formality, intensity, and emotional impact.
Okay, break that down for me.
Okay, so formality is how formal or casual the language is.
Right, so depart is more formal than leave.
Exactly.
Got it.
Then you have intensity, which refers to the strength of the action or emotion.
Okay.
So dash is more intense than walk.
Makes sense.
And lastly, you have emotional impact, which is the feeling you want to convey. So trudge expresses sadness,
Yeah.
whereas skip conveys joy and lightheartedness.
This framework is amazing.
It is helpful.
It is.
It can help you choose the right verb for the situation.
It really can. But wait, how do we know which dimension to prioritize? Are they all equal?
That's a great question, and it really depends.
On the situation.
On the context, yeah, and your intention.
Right.
If you're writing a formal letter, obviously formality is key.
Right.
But if you're describing a thrilling adventure, intensity might take center stage.
Gotcha.
And if you're expressing deep emotions, emotional impact should be your focus.
This is so helpful. I feel like I'm seeing verbs in a whole new light.
Good, that's the goal.
It is.
Yeah.
But I mean, like just thinking about formality and intensity and emotion doesn't magically give us more verbs to use.
You're absolutely right. You need to expand your vocabulary too.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, one fun technique is to keep a verb journal.
A verb journal.
A verb journal.
What is that?
It's your secret weapon.
Okay, I'm listening.
So whenever you encounter an interesting verb,
Uh-huh.
write it down in the journal.
Okay.
Along with its meaning.
Yeah.
And a few example sentences.
Got it.
You can also brainstorm synonyms,
Okay.
explore different forms,
Okay.
and even use our verb power-up framework to analyze it.
So if I'm reading and I come across a new word like meander,
Yeah?
I write it down, look up the definition, maybe some synonyms, and then try and make my own sentence using meander.
Exactly.
I love that.
And don't limit yourself to just reading.
Okay.
Pay attention to verbs in movies,
Okay.
podcasts, everyday conversations.
That's true. I don't really think about it. But you're right, they're everywhere.
They are.
This is making me feel so much more confident about expanding my verb vocabulary.
That's great to hear.
But what about like actually using them?
Yes, using them is key.
Any tips for putting all this into practice?
Absolutely. One of the best ways is to just start using them. In your writing, your speaking, even in your thoughts.
Wow. Even in my thoughts.
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I like that.
And don't be afraid to experiment and make mistakes.
Mistakes are part of the process.
They are how we learn and grow.
They really are. I love that idea of just using them and making mistakes. But it would also be great to get some feedback.
Right. Feedback is crucial.
Yeah, like how do I know if I'm using the new verbs correctly and effectively?
Well, if you have a language partner or a teacher, you can ask them for help.
Yeah?
They can listen to you speak,
Read
your writing,
Okay.
and give you feedback on your verb usage.
That makes sense, like a second pair of eyes to help catch those little mistakes.
Exactly. And it's not just about getting feedback from others.
Oh,
We can learn a lot from observing native speakers, too.
true.
Pay attention to how they use verbs in different contexts.
Okay.
Notice their rhythm and intonation.
Yeah.
Try to imitate their style.
So like binge watching my favorite English shows is now homework.
Well, it can be.
I like the sound of that.
It's a fun way to learn it.
Yeah. It is, but what about those times when I'm not watching a show or talking to a native speaker? How else can I practice?
Well, one of my favorite techniques is creative writing.
Creative writing.
Creative writing.
Now, I'm no Shakespeare.
You don't have to be.
Okay, good.
It doesn't have to be novels or poems.
Okay.
It can be something simple like a journal entry,
Okay.
a funny social media post, even just a descriptive email to a friend.
So I'm basically giving myself permission to play with language.
Exactly.
Without the pressure of being good.
Yes. Have fun with it.
I like that a lot.
And here's a fun exercise you can try.
Okay.
Describe a simple activity like walking to the park,
Uh-huh.
but use different verbs to convey different emotions or situations.
Okay, so I could say, I strolled to the park if I was feeling relaxed.
Yeah.
Or I marched to the park if I was, like, determined to get some exercise.
Exactly.
Ooh, we could even turn it into a game.
Yes.
Like, who can come up with the most creative verb to describe walking to the park? That would be so fun.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are. And speaking of possibilities,
Yes.
what about those language learning apps?
Oh, those are great.
Yeah,
A lot of them have exercises specifically for learning new verbs.
that's true. I do use a couple.
Yeah, and they can be a really fun and interactive way to practice.
They are. Okay, so we've got our verb journal.
Mm-hmm.
We're watching shows.
Yes.
We're doing creative writing.
Uh-huh.
And we're using those apps.
It's a good start.
It is. But is there anything else we can do to really level up our verb game?
Well, one more crucial element is understanding how verbs can convey emotions.
Okay, yeah, we touched upon this earlier.
We did, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
A deeper dive.
I like it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so imagine you're writing a story,
Okay.
and a character is approaching a haunted house.
Ooh, spooky.
If you just say, he went to the house, it doesn't really create much suspense.
No, not really. It's kind of boring.
But what if you said, he crept towards the house, his heart pounding with dread?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's way better.
Right? The verb crept immediately sets a different tone.
It does create a sense of fear and anticipation.
Exactly, and that's the power of choosing the right verb.
I'm starting to see how much I've been underutilizing verbs in my writing.
It happens.
Yeah. I've been so focused on getting the grammar right
I understand.
that I've kind of forgotten about the storytelling aspect.
And that's a common track for language learners.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in the rules that we forget to have fun.
So true. So how can we practice using verbs more effectively for storytelling?
Well, one fun exercise is to take a simple sentence
Okay.
and experiment with different verbs
Okay.
to see how they change the meaning and the feeling.
Okay, well, give me an example.
How about, I went home?
Okay, so instead of went, I could say, I trudged home
Perfect.
to show, like, exhaustion and disappointment.
Yes. Or you could say, I skipped home.
If I was feeling happy.
Exactly. Or I stormed home if you were angry.
Ooh, I like that. I'm starting to get it.
Good. The more you experiment, the more confident you'll become.
It's like a muscle.
It is. You have to exercise it.
I like that analogy. This is all so eye-opening. But I have to admit, I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed.
That's understandable.
Like I've opened this Pandora's box of verbs.
I see what you mean.
And now I don't know where to begin.
Don't worry. That's completely normal.
Is it?
It is. Learning a language is a journey.
Not a destination.
Exactly. There will always be new verbs to discover.
True.
New nuances to explore.
Yeah.
And new ways to express yourself.
So instead of trying to learn everything at once,
Yes.
I can just focus on making small changes.
Small steps.
Yeah, celebrating those little victories along the way.
Exactly. And remember to have fun.
Fun is important.
It is. It's what makes learning enjoyable.
This has been such an inspiring conversation. I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for verbs.
That's wonderful to hear.
But before we wrap up,
Yes.
what's one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the main thing to remember is verbs are the heartbeat of your English. They give your sentences energy and emotion and personality.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, they're not just like grammatical units.
Yeah.
They're the tools we use to tell stories and connect with people.
Exactly. So my challenge to all our listeners is this. Pay attention to the verbs you use every day. Could you swap out a bland verb for something more interesting, more precise, more you?
Ooh, I like that challenge. So instead of saying I went to work, maybe I could say I commuted to work. Or even I zipped over to work if I was in a hurry.
Exactly. And the more you play with verbs, the more you'll discover your own unique style.
It's all about finding the words that feel right for you.
It is, and expressing yourself authentically.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about verbs.
Me too.
And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to start using more interesting verbs in their English.
I hope so too. And remember, mastering verbs is a journey,
It is.
but it's a fun journey.
It is, and it's filled with so much creativity and expression. Speaking of creativity, we'd love to hear from our listeners. Share your verb discoveries with us on social media. Tell us about the verbs that have inspired you.
Yeah, let's create a community of English learners who can support and inspire each other.
I love that idea. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Chat Like a Native. Until next time, keep chatting, keep learning, and keep those verbs flowing.